Hello, and welcome to the Divorced Dadvocate, divorce support for dads, where we help dads create a healthy and less traumatic divorce. My name is Jude Sandoval, and I'm your host. I created this podcast and the Divorced Advocate community as a result of my own high conflict divorce, and because you as a dad deserve all the resources necessary to thrive through this challenging time. I encourage you to check out our website at thedivorcedadvocate.com, where there are resources that correspond to this episode, as well as free access to our membership community, where you will find live meetings, free workshops and courses, private discussion groups, and more. And now, on to this week's episode. Hello, and welcome to the show. Thanks for tuning in this week. Our topic, or the title of our conversation today, is healthy signs to look for before re-entering the dating world. This is a popular topic, actually, that I get lots of questions about that I haven't addressed in quite some time. So we're going to jump into that. But before we do, let's welcome Alex, Todd, Brian, Kevin, and another Brian to the Divorced Advocate community. Big week, lots of new folks getting involved. And if you're not already involved, please visit thedivorcedadvocate.com and check out all the resources we have, anywhere from free to paid resources, everything that you may need to help you get through this difficult and challenging time. Check it out at thedivorcedadvocate.com. All right, healthy signs divorced dads should look for before entering the dating world. I don't need to tell you that divorce is a life-altering event that definitely can leave us emotionally and mentally drained. And for dads, balancing parenthood and personal recovery is often a bit more challenging. However, there's going to probably, more than likely, with most of us, going to be a time when you feel ready to dip your toes back into the dating pool. But how do you know if you are ready and if the time is right? That is a question I get quite often. There is, the decision to date after divorce is obviously deeply personal. And it's important that you make sure that you're truly ready mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. It's a little bit different now that you have a family and that you have kids compared to when you may have been dating before and those things were not present. So what we're going to talk about is key healthy signs we can look for in our lives to discern if it's time to start dating again. The first one is that you have mental clarity and stability. One of the first areas to assess is your mental state. Divorce, it can lead to confusion. It can lead to stress. It can lead to lingering feelings of failure or guilt. And it's essential to ensure that you've worked through these emotions and achieved mental clarity before pursuing new relationships. Now, what is a sign of readiness? A sign that you have mental clarity and stability. One of those, and I'm going to go through signs in each one of these and then give you an example in each one of these. This is not comprehensive by any means, but it is one thing that you can look at and try to ascertain whether or not you feel like this is present in your life, and that'll help to just get you kind of on the track as to whether you feel like it's time or not. So, a sign of mental clarity and stability is that you're no longer preoccupied with thoughts of your ex-spouse. Your mind feels lighter, and you're able to focus on your future without constantly revisiting past events. And that's another one also, is that you can think in the future going forward, think about what your life is going to look like going forward, and that you're focused more on that rather than on your ex-spouse, and you have ruminating thoughts and feelings about your ex-spouse. So an example of this, and a real life example, is if you can engage in conversations about your past relationship without having feelings of bitterness or having any feelings of excessive emotion. And that's a sign that you've mentally prepared, that you've become mentally prepared to form new connections. And it's incredibly important to be able to do that, because you're not going to be able to create those new connections with people if your mind is on the past and you're ruminating on some of those things. So the first one is mental clarity and stability. The second one is emotional balance and resilience. Emotional health is another important marker, because after divorce, emotional wounds need time to heal. And forcing yourself into a new relationship too early may prevent you from fully processing your feelings. So look for signs that you've regained emotional balance and resilience. And a sign of that would be you've developed emotional independence and are no longer relying on others, including others meaning dating somebody or having gotten into a relationship immediately, to fill a void or validate your self-worth. Let me say that again. You've developed emotional independence and you are no longer relying on others or dating to fill a void or validate your self-worth. Oftentimes what happens, and I did this too, is we look for somebody else immediately after to fill that void, plug and play, if you will. And that does not help us to figure out what it was. Well, it doesn't help in a lot of different realms. One is for us to become emotionally balanced and resilient. And another is that we don't learn what our relational dynamic was that resulted in the failure of our previous relationship. So that's another one. So just be aware of that you're not relying on that. And an example is, if you find joy and fulfillment in your day-to-day life, whether that's through things like hobbies or just spending time with your kids, or in personal achievements, whether personal or professional, this indicates you're emotionally stable and ready to share your life with someone new. So I think the key defining factor is that you're not looking to somebody for something in your life, that you're looking to somebody to share in your life. So that will be the defining way in which you can determine if you've come to some emotional balance and resilience. Number 3, physical health and self-care. This plays a significant role in how you feel about yourself and your readiness for new relationships. During and after divorce, stress and anxiety absolutely takes a toll on our bodies, causing issues like fatigue, weight changes, lack of motivation. So by reaching a place of physical health and self-care, that's a good sign that you're ready to re-enter the dating scene. And if you've listened to more than one of our episodes here, the physical health and self-care is one of the first things that I talk about doing, because it seems to be the easiest to get on track with in order to start moving towards some of these, all of the other four legs of the stool: mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. And that seems to be a good segue into all the rest of those. So the physical health and self-care is critical, and a sign of readiness for you is the taking care of your body, sleeping well, exercise, and maintaining a healthy lifestyle. I would also add in there eating well. You feel energized and confident about your physical appearance. Now, this doesn't mean that you become Mr. Universe necessarily, and it doesn't mean that you've got everything 100% on track. I still go on and off and start and feel good and don't feel good, and have ebbs and flows to this. But generally, you are really into a regiment with yourself and just a rhythm with yourself and your body, and that you're taking care of yourself and sleeping and eating and exercising and have a good lifestyle. An example is you've, like I said, adopted a regular exercise routine. Now, that could be going to the gym, that could be running, that could be practicing yoga. But what the results would be is noticing that there's a boost in your mood and energy. and it's a positive indicator that your physical health is on track. So that's number 3, physical health and self-care. Number 4 is spiritual peace and alignment. So you're noticing here that these are all in alignment with what we talk about in the 4 areas, the 4 legs of the stool that you need to take care of: mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. These are all examples that are in alignment with each one of those, so that you know that you've got that foundation set for you to be able to jump into dating and start that whole process, which is a whole nother process in and of itself. The 4th one is spiritual peace and alignment. For many, divorce can shake their spiritual foundation, leading to questions about their life's purpose or their faith. That was definitely true of myself. And this is whether or not you're religious. Feeling at peace spiritually will signify that you've worked through deeper existential questions that may have arisen during or after the divorce. I know that this is absolutely positively true with fathers, with men, because our identity is very in alignment and tied to our purpose in life. And when a large part of our purpose in our life is our families, and then that whole family structure goes away and it changes into something different, this definitely, and this was the case for me, was led to some deeper existential questions that I needed to address and work through before I was able to really get in alignment with and be able to get out there and date again. So a sign of readiness for this is that you feel a sense of inner peace and alignment with your values, beliefs, and or your faith. You're not questioning your self-worth or seeking external validation like we mentioned earlier. An example is if you're finding yourself engaging more with activities that align with your beliefs, and this could be things such as meditation or prayer or spending time in nature, whatever your spiritual practice is. We've talked about this before, and as a result, you feel grounded, and you're likely spiritually. This means that you're likely spiritually ready to open up to new relationships. So it's really that. The bottom line is that grounding, that you feel grounded in something that is greater than yourself, that you're able to engage in activities that allow you and help you to maintain that grounding and that balance, and you're able to do it on a regular basis. Number 5, a healthy relationship with your kids. As divorced dads, our relationship with our children is paramount, and healthy connections with them is another crucial sign that we're ready to start dating. Children will pick up on our emotional states. So it's definitely important to ensure that your kids are adjusting or have adjusted well to post-divorce life, and that your bond with them remains strong before you start getting into the dating world. A sign of this, of readiness for this, is you've established a solid routine with your kids and communicated openly with them about the changes in their life. They feel secure, and you're balancing your parental responsibilities with your personal life. And I'll point out with this, the establishing a solid routine with the kids is critical. And while there's and we're gonna touch just briefly on this in the next one, while there's no time frame or timeline around whether you should start dating or not start dating, etc., I highly recommend what I call just getting through the seasons or getting through all of the holidays. Yeah, that's a year-long calendar so that you can learn and understand and get into that routine with your kids so that they know and understand kind of where things are at. They're going through their own experience with this, and they need to feel secure. They need to feel safe. And by getting through the seasons with them in your new environment, in your new lifestyle with them, that helps that process along. So typically, if someone were to ask me what is the minimum amount of time, I would say a year, so that you can establish that, particularly with your kids. so that they do feel that's the security, that safety around that. And then the second part of what we talked about, what I mentioned with the readiness here, is being able to openly communicate with them about the changes in their lives, and that you're able to talk with them about potentially dating it again. That's my example. If your children are adapting well and you've had age appropriate conversations about the possibility of dating, that indicates that you're handling your role as a parent with confidence and responsibility. Again, if you're going to try to start sneaking around and hiding it and dating and not telling your kids, they're going to pick up on your emotional state. They're going to know something's up. They might not know exactly what it is, but they know. They feel the energy. They pick up on some nonverbal cues. So just make sure that you get yourself in that state where you feel that you are in a good place with them. You're communicating, that you're stabilized things in the environment is good with them. Number 6, and the final one, is that you are excited about the future and that you're not just fearful of loneliness or being alone. It's important to examine your motivations for wanting to date. Are you genuinely excited about building a new chapter in your life, or are you just trying to fill the void left by your previous relationship, as I stated earlier? Healthy dating begins when you're looking forward to what the future may hold, not when you're simply afraid of being alone. And this is a huge one, right? Which is totally understandable. We go from a dynamic and an environment where we were with somebody for years or decades, and then all of a sudden we're not, and we're alone. And that is a huge change, and that is a big adjustment, and that is difficult, and that is challenging. So if I were to say that there's one thing to pay the most attention to, fellas, is that this dynamic right there is if you can put off and learn to be on your own and work on your own and work through this stuff on your own for a time being until you get to a place where you are comfortable with these things we described, then that is going to be a very good indicator. What is a sign of readiness, of excitement about the future, not just fear of the loneliness, is that you are excited about the potential of meeting new people and forming connections based on shared interests and values. So that doesn't mean that you're just out looking for somebody to just be with. It means that you're excited about forming connections with somebody with shared interests and values, and you're not rushing into dating as a means of escaping loneliness. An example is you're engaging in social activities and finding joy in meeting new people, whether that's through group events, hobbies, or casual conversations, a sign that you're open to forming new and healthy relationships. And I would say that that is true of anybody that you meet, and it's not just that you're focused or hyper focused on it being a romantic relationship, that you can engage in these social activities. You can find joy in meeting new people, and even if it doesn't result in a romantic connection, that you are still happy to be forming these new healthy relationships. That's a really, really good sign and a really good indicator, and one that I ask men when they're in the dating pool, in the dating world, or might be lamenting the dating world now that they're divorced dads, if they're just happy to be meeting new people and like to form those new relationships. That's a very big sign. So my final thoughts are: deciding when to start dating after divorce is a deeply personal decision, and there's not, like I said, a universal timeline. However, I would suggest keeping that minimum of getting through the seasons or the holidays in 1 year. Recognizing the healthy signs of mental clarity, emotional balance, physical well-being, spiritual practice, a strong bond with your children, and excitement about the future can help you determine if you're ready to begin dating again. But take your time, listen to your instincts, and remember that your well-being and your children's stability should always come first. And when you decide to start dating, approach it with openness and a heart ready for new experiences. I promise you that your life 2.0 can be even more rewarding and amazing than you ever possibly imagine. Hope that you found some value in some of this feedback today on healthy signs we can look for before re-entering the dating world. If you did share this far and wide on social media with other divorced dads or dads that are contemplating divorce, and leave us a star rating or give us some comments and feedbacks on whatever podcast platform or wherever you're listening and watching. It helps us immensely. It gives us some social credibility by doing that. So I appreciate if you just stop and do that for us right now. Thank you so much. Have a great week. To hear the rest of this episode and access the corresponding resources, visit thedivorcedadvocate.com and become a member of our community. It's free to join and will provide you with the resources you deserve as a divorced or divorcing dad. Thank you for listening. God bless, and I'll talk with you next week.